All right, good morning, sixth graders. This is the Independence Station, and this is our first day talking about ancient China. So, we will be discussing China's geography, their land, and their surroundings and their environment. Make sure you're on the Independence Station page. Follow along and annotate, being ready to answer the comprehension questions. China was a very isolated civilization in the ancient world. I'm going to pause here and let you know what the word isolated means. Isolated means alone and separated from others. So, China was a very isolated civilization in the ancient world. China was separate from other civilizations because of its natural barriers. Natural barriers such as the Pacific Ocean, Himalayan mountains, Tibetan Plateau, and deserts made it difficult for other civilizations to be in contact with ancient China. As a result, ancient China became unique or different from other civilizations. Another important factor in ancient China's civilization was the small amount of good farmland. Only 10% of the land in China is good for farming. The fertile land, of course, was located in the two major river valleys. Farmers depended on rain for their crops and developed irrigation systems to get fresh water to dry land. One adaptation China invented was the iron plow. Chinese farmers were using iron plows before many other civilizations. In fact, by 550 BC, Chinese farmers were using the iron plow to till their fields. The iron plow allowed them to break up soil that was too hard to use with a wooden plow. This led them to grow more crops, which allowed the population to grow. China also created terrace farming. Due to the small amount of farmland, farmers learned to farm on the side of mountains. Steps were cut into the side of mountains to make flat space for farming. This farming technique is called terrace farming. You have 3 comprehension questions from this passage that you need to answer. The first says, why did Chinese civilization turn out to be so unique? If you notice, I have the word unique underlined here, and I also have the word unique underlined in the first paragraph. Go ahead and find your answer for that in the first paragraph. The second question says, why was the iron plow more useful than the wooden plow? You're going to go back to paragraph 3 in order to find that answer. The last comprehension question says, what innovation did Chinese farmers use in order to farm on the side of a mountain? You're going to find that answer in this paragraph. Pause the video now to answer these 3 questions. Welcome back. This is the last paragraph that you're going to be answering questions for. 2 paragraphs more, actually. Archaeologists believe that the first inhabitants of China lived in caves more than 500,000 years ago. Remains of these people, known as Peking or Beijing Man, were found in the 1920s in the northeastern part of China. They lived by hunting, gathering, and fishing. They made tools and probably used fire. Go ahead and answer the question that says to describe the earliest people in ancient China. Pause the video now. When people in China began farming, they settled mostly on the North China Plain in Inner China. They grew crops and lived in villages near the Honghe. This marked the beginning of settled Chinese society. It's not surprising that early farmers chose this area to live in. The North China Plain had plenty of water, fertile soil, and a moderate or mild climate. What makes the settled people of ancient China different from the earliest people described in the first paragraph? Answer this question now. And your last question is, what was the name of the river where the earliest Chinese settlements developed? Make sure you have all questions answered and that you've restated, and be prepared to discuss with your teacher.